All right, folks, it's another episode of America's Hometown Horror, and another episode brought to you by another new sponsor. And tonight's episode is brought to you by DB Journey. DB Journey is a Scandinavian brand that makes backpacks and bags to help people on the move stay ready for anything. From the streets to the peaks, DB's gear is travel tested by some of the world's best athletes, adventurers, and creators. Over the past decade, DB has designed, developed, released, and refined the best bags in the market. With DB's patented hookup system, you're able to attach smaller products to your backpack, roller, or tote bag. We at America's Hometown Horror are teaming up with DB to exclusively offer our listeners 10% off your next purchase by using the code POD10, that's POD10, or going to the link in our show notes. DB Journey, it's time to move on and time to get going. And that's a nice segue because away we go. What is up? What is up, folks? Welcome into another episode of America's Hometown Horror. Thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate you stopping in and checking in to see how we're doing. My name is Mike. I, of course, am the host of America's Hometown Horror podcast, but as I say every week, I am not alone in this podcast adventure, and I am joined by my esteemed co-hosts. You know them by now. That would be Andrew.
What is going on?
What's up, pal?
Not much.
And Gato.
Hello.
What's up, Kat? How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Mike?
Doing good. I mean, it's officially September, which means that we are heading closer and closer to spooky season here. So happy September, happy Labor Day weekend, which, Jesus Christ, I can't believe it's about to be Labor Day weekend, you guys.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. Where did the summer go?
I don't know. I had a great summer, though. I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah. And, I mean, obviously, we still get a few more weeks of, like, good weather, like beach-worthy going weather. So summer's not over quite yet. But, you know, obviously, Labor Day, the unofficial ending of summer, and the start of fall, again, unofficially, which is prime time for us. And, you know, just a prime example of how the haunt industry has tried to creep its way further and further outside of October. Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando kicks off tonight.
Oh, wow, that's early.
Yep.
That's very early.
So first weekend in September, that bad boy is kicking off down in Orlando. So unfortunately, we will not be there. But to anyone that is going, have fun for us. Go check out those haunted houses. Looks like it's a pretty good lineup this year. And, you know, hey, within the next couple of weeks, some local haunts will be starting stuff up and getting going for the 2021 season. It is 2021, right? Yeah,
Yes,
2021.
it is.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, cool.
What year is it?
Just want to make sure. What year is it? So I will be putting out an episode sometime in the next couple of weeks before everything opens, running through pretty much everything in New England that is open this season, when the opening will be, and what tickets will cost, what you can expect to get in there. So I'll drop that as a bonus episode for people that are interested in haunted attraction content, because I know I am, and I'm really just doing the research for myself, and then I'm going to share it with you guys. So you can thank me later.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. Andrew, been watching anything good?
I haven't watched anything.
I know, I've been super
Really
busy.
haven't been,
I don't
yeah.
really have too much to report.
Didn't we watch... Oh, no. We talked about that on the last podcast, the American Horror Stories.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
We haven't really watched anything
Yeah.
new either.
Yeah, I know. It's been a busy
Yeah.
week. It's been a busy week, as the whole summer has been busy with us. And this weekend, another bachelor party to go to, so God help me.
Very exciting.
Yeah, God help me.
Hopefully
Yeah,
you come back.
it's going to be a blast.
one
This one is not Las Vegas, so it should be a little bit more, not I want to say low-key, but a little bit less intense maybe, but it should still be an absolute blast.
You're going to go see Calvin Harris in the Poconos?
No Calvin Harris in the Poconos.
I'd be
Or
pretty interested. That'd be fun.
actually, Millennium is who it was when I was
Oh,
out there, who
sorry.
I saw, yeah, so.
Millennium.
It's okay. Honest mistake. But I do have some quick-hitting movie and TV news items, and I do mean quick-hitting if you guys are interested in that.
I like the quick hitters.
All right, perfect.
Let's go. Hit away.
So a couple TV shows here. Unsolved Mysteries, which has recently been revived on
Angela
Netflix.
Lansbury.
With Angela Lansbury. Yes, exactly. So there are 2 volumes out on Netflix now.
Okay.
6 episodes each volume for a total of 12 episodes, and it has just been confirmed that it will be returning for Volume 3 next summer, in the summer of 2022. So if you, like me, are into Unsolved Mysteries, not with Angela Lansbury,
It was
unfortunately.
a joke. It was a joke.
I know. That is a running joke on our show.
I know.
It's a running joke. So that'll be back in the the summer of 2022. But in the meantime, I know I've shared this on our Instagram page before. Unsolved Mysteries has an official podcast now, and they're dropping weekly episodes, and it is awesome. So if you like Unsolved Mysteries, go check out the Unsolved Mysteries podcast while you're waiting for Volume 3. In addition to that, some TV that will be coming back a little bit shorter and a little bit sooner. Creepshow is returning for Season 3 on Shudder. Again, the Shudder exclusive Creepshow series. And that'll be dropping. The new season starts on September 23rd. It's just a few short weeks away.
Fun. Very fun.
You guys are really raring to go today, huh?
Yeah,
I can tell.
yeah.
Good. Okay, great.
I didn't really like the Creepshow doesn't really do it to me, the revamped ones on
Like
Shudder.
the TV show?
Yeah.
I like it.
With
They're
the comic
alright.
booky
They're-
kind of
yeah.
feel and all that.
It's not the movie, though.
It's
like-
doing very popular for Shudder. That's probably, I'd say, their most popular TV show. And finally, speaking of Shudder, just because 31 days of Halloween is not quite enough, Shudder announced they are doing 61 days of Halloween, which is pretty much all throughout September and October. They're going to be dropping new content, sometimes daily, but more often than not, a couple new things each week. But the biggest thing that I'm excited for is the release of VHS 94, which will be coming out in October.
I feel like I didn't like the VHS movies.
I feel
I
differently.
know.
See, I don't have
you
a
feel
problem with
differently.
I don't have a problem with the Halloween season starting September 1 because Christmas starts in July. So
Yeah.
what the fuck difference does it make?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
they should 2 months is that's not even that much.
Well, you know for a fact that on November 1st, the day
Oh, yeah.
after Halloween, this Christmas decoration's up at the South Shore Plaza, wherever else, whatever mall you go to,
Yeah.
if malls are even still
They
a
don't
thing.
even care about Thanksgiving. They
Yeah.
just shoot right to
I
Christmas.
know. Yep. It's just right to Christmas. Well, I mean, there's not really too many Thanksgiving decorations you can throw up there, I suppose. So,
Turkeys.
Yeah, but I you know me. I am all for elongating the Halloween season. So, yep, right up my alley. That's a good turkey impression. Good turkey impression.
Thanks.
All right, and that's what I got for news, guys. So I know we have
Light
a lot to.
news
Yeah,
day.
I told you it was going to be quick hitting. I did not lie there. So,
Wow. 1, 2, 3.
ready to hop into our topic du jour?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, so. Last week we covered the new Candyman movie, and there's actually been a good amount of controversy because the movie is in fact directed by Nia DaCosta, and written by Jordan Peele, and I think produced as well. And people keep calling it Jordan Peele's Candyman, and people are pissed off about that and think that Nia DaCosta is getting slighted. But
I can see that.
yeah, I can see it too. I can absolutely see it too.
mean,
He
I
did not
thought it
direct it.
was-
It's not his movie. It should be her movie. So
Right.
I get it. But got us thinking. Jordan Peele was involved in the Candyman remake, so why not talk about another Jordan Peele movie? Because we haven't talked about his 2 major releases
But you
yet.
just said it's not his movie.
This movie we're talking about tonight is his movie.
No, but I mean, like, it's his movie, but he didn't direct it. He wrote it.
Candyman.
Isn't that...
Candyman.
Candyman.
No,
He-
us.
No, he directed us.
Oh.
Way to bury the lead. So yeah, we're talking about Us tonight from 2019, which is written and directed by Jordan Peele.
Okay.
Candyman was co-written by Jordan Peele, and
Yes.
maybe produced but directed by a woman named Nia DaCosta. So, Andrew, I know you are a huge fan of Us. Why don't you take it away and give us your thoughts on Us, what you thought about it, and how this holds up for you after coming out only 2 short years ago.
It's just so different, I feel like. I mean, I'm sure there's movies that are similar to it, but I found it to be a very different, refreshing take on not even like the home invasion genre, because I mean, it does play into that a little bit, but I don't think that's really what it is at all.
We did talk about this on our home invasion episode.
We did, because
Yeah.
I mean,
So one of you talked
they are
about it. One of you
invading.
picked it.
They are
Andrew did.
invading
Yeah.
A home.
their home
Yes.
and homes, so it does fall into that category. But it's just it's really weird, which is I really like. That's what I really like about it. Is it's so bizarre, but it's so like tightly knit together that it never really falls apart. I don't think. I feel like even though there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's weird and it's confusing, when it ends, you're not confused. You understand. I mean, at least I did. Watching it a second and a third time, you obviously pick up on things throughout the movie, but I didn't think this movie was confusing.
You
Yeah.
watched this 3 times?
I've seen it maybe 4 or 5 times.
Really?
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot. So this was my second time watching the movie, the most
Same.
recent time we watched it. And I feel like I picked up on a lot of things.
I was going to talk
My
about that,
second
like,
viewing.
later for, like, final thoughts.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
like,
fine.
to dig into.
Yeah, this
a
is
little
just
bit more.
basic.
Of course.
I know.
Yeah.
Did you like
Banter,
the
I get
movie?
it.
What do
Yeah.
you think about it?
Yes, indeed.
I mean, the acting was awesome.
Yeah.
The humor in the movie really helps set it apart. That's what I like
Yeah, it's
about
really
Jordan
funny.
Peele's writing style. Is
It's definitely
he
really
comes
funny.
from a comedic background, so
Right.
he's able to, and it's not like forced funny moments. Like
Right.
they're naturally funny, which is a what's the word? I'm looking
testament-
for?
a
A
testament-
testament to the actors
Yes.
in this movie, actors and actresses.
Yes,
I should say.
exactly. Or I think they all like to be referred to as actors now. I don't think they like to be distinguished between it. I think they just all like to be actors.
Actors?
Actors.
Well,
yeah.
it's not like you're a doctor or a doctress. Like
Yeah, it's
you're
true.
a doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
Or an octopus. You know.
Like a fish.
Yes, I think that's the new trend in Hollywood. So cool, excellent. So safe to say you are a fan of us.
2 thumbs way up.
Yeah, this is definitely a two thumbs way up movie. Speaking of two thumbs way up, Gato, what'd you think of us?
I'm gonna also give it 2 thumbs way up. I love this movie. I love that it was more of like a horror comedy movie. Like it was a lot of like very breaks of like comedic relief on top of all of the extreme stressful situations. Like it was the emotions like the entire time were just up and down and up and down and up and down. I love the score.
Yeah,
Like the music was awesome. It was fitting. Like
Definite
I
high
loved
point.
I got 5 on it. Like I loved the entire like that just made the movie, I feel like.
yep.
Yeah, I was thrilled to watch it a second time. I mean, because I feel like we watched the first time when it was in theaters. You said 2 years ago?
The three of us saw it in theaters when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it holds up. It's a great movie.
Holds up. It came out like 3 years ago.
Well, I mean, it holds up to like whatever.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
Standard.
bad.
Yeah, it's a great. It's a good movie. This movie rocks. This
Yeah,
is an awesome movie.
absolutely.
I'll make it 3 for 3 and give it 2 thumbs way up.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow!
3 for
Look
3.
at you.
3 for 3.
Which is interesting though, because like if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, like it gets critical praise through the roof, but fan score is kind of low. It's like 58%.
See, it's funny because that was what I was going to say next. I actually like this movie better than Get Out.
I think it's better.
Yeah, which I think a lot of people
Yeah,
probably
I think
feel
I
the
agree.
opposite way.
Really?
Yeah, I think Get Out was such a huge
Well, that was like a
cultural
blockbuster.
phenomenon. It got nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Daniel
So-
Kaluuya got nominated for Best Actor. Jordan Peele got nominated for Best Director.
Did
So
us
yeah,
come
Well, I
out-
think what it is like Get Out was more of a statement type of movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and this movie obviously makes statements throughout it, but this is more just a horror movie. There's no like
No, yeah, not really.
it's and if
I mean,
it's
well, no,
subtly,
that's not true either, because
But-
there is kind of underlying tones of.
There always is, but it's
a lot
very
of stuff.
it's very subtle.
So he actually is on record. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but saying that he, after kind of like, because it's funny. So like Get Out actually got nominated at the Golden Globes. You know how the Golden Globes, there's 2 different Best Picture categories. One's for drama and the other one's for comedy or musical. So Get Out is clearly a horror drama movie with comedic elements, and it got nominated for Best Comedy or Musical Movie. And I remember he, at the time, was like, how the hell is this funny to people? Like, it's not funny.
That's kind of weird.
It's not a funny situation. So he said he went more out of his way with us to make more of a straightforward horror movie.
Right.
Obviously, he has some things to say in this movie, which you alluded to. We'll get into that.
Right. I didn't want to give
Yeah.
too much away on the overall
Yeah.
thoughts.
That's fine. But I just feel like, and this is kind of, again, a testament to the fact that Jordan Peele is such a horror nerd, which I love. And I think it just shows in this movie because there's just countless Easter eggs and references to other horror movies, which I'll get into in a little bit more detail very shortly here. Also, as you mentioned, the soundtrack is great.
Yeah.
Soundtrack is great. And it has an absolutely unbelievable performance from Lupita Nyong'o as Adelaide and
Yes.
Red. 2 performances, really. And it's absolutely criminal that she didn't get nominated for an Oscar here.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, this is one of the best horror performances of the last decade, up there with Dafoe and Pattinson in The Lighthouse, Toni Collette in Hereditary, and Essie Davis, who plays the mom in The Babadook. I think that she is either at the top or very close to the top.
She could
Yeah.
be number one.
She is fantastic in this movie. I forgot how good she was. Like, I remembered that she was very good, but watching it a second time, and she kills it. Really kills it. Literally and figuratively, I suppose.
Wait, you said the mom from the Babadook's in this movie?
No, I'm saying that was a great
was like-
performance.
I was like, just
When the host isn't listening. I mean, no.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, hold on. I thought you just said
Yeah.
that
you're
her
talking about best
performance was good, but then I was
performances in
like,
horror movies in the
She
last
wasn't
like
in
10
this
years.
movie.
Yeah.
Neither was Toni Collette either.
Correct.
No.
Correct.
She's
yes.
in the movie
Or
Hereditary.
Angela Lansbury.
Or Angela
Or
Lansbury.
Angela Lansbury. Although she could have been in this.
She could have.
So, so I guess speaking of other good horror performances, also a good time to bring up other horror movies from 2019, which is the year of our Lord 2019 when this movie came out. This is now our third movie covering from this year, so we've now doing Us. We did Dr. Sleep, which is fantastic, and we also did The Lighthouse a couple of weeks back. And we talked a lot about these movies during the Lighthouse episode, so I don't want to rehash it too much, but a huge year for horror. Absolute huge year for horror movies with Dr. Sleep. I would consider parts of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to be horror. You have It Chapter 2, The Lighthouse, Ready or Not, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, The Beach House, Sweetheart, those are a little bit more indie, Happy Death Day to You, Haunt,
Love Happy Death
The
Day.
Lodge, Midsommar, yuck, the Pet Sematary remake, which also stunk.
I feel like I'm going to watch Midsommar again.
I want to give it another shot, too. I know, we always talk about our hatred
we should
for
talk
it.
about Midsommar and
And
have
then-
someone on who likes it.
Yeah,
And
maybe Odette will come on and
just
defend
debate.
it. And then in the Tall Grass and Velvet Buzzsaw, which we actually talked about last week during Candyman, and I was just not a fan of that movie. So, where does Us rank? I mean, obviously it's probably close to the top for both you guys that
Yeah.
year. Is there a movie that came out in 2019 that you think is better than Us?
No,
No.
I like Dr. Sleep though. I like them both just as much, but I think Us was better.
Yeah, see, I prefer Dr. Sleep. I think Dr. Sleep is a
I
masterpiece.
think Dr.
I think also
Sleep.
the fact that you have such an affinity for The Shining.
That's
Right.
So
correct.
do I.
Yeah, I'm
but
biased.
It's tough to.
I'm biased.
Doc-
But that movie was so good.
Dr. Sleep, Dr. Smells.
You didn't like that movie?
I didn't think it was that great. I don't know.
Well, that's a terrible opinion.
I mean,
but,
go back
hey,
to our
it's your
podcast
opinion.
and listen to it.
It's a hot
See
take.
what I thought. Yeah.
Spicy.
I'd rather be Happy Death Day.
Oh
to
God,
ya?
don't. Oh,
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie, and I
Oh
have
my
no
God
desire to see it.
almighty.
I love those
horrible
movies.
take.
They're so good.
Cat-
It's your
Cat-
birthday.
Cat just dropping
Why don't you
spicy
pick up the
takes.
phone?
Giving heartburn on the podcast here.
Heartburn on the podcast.
I think Dr. Sleep is the best horror movie of the decade of the 2010s. I think so.
Okay.
That's
Everyone's
why.
entitled to their opinion.
Because your
So,
opinion smells.
Wow.
so
Doctor Smells.
kind of in stark contrast here to last week, Candyman, obviously new movie, not too much known about it, but this is a couple years old, so I do have some pretty interesting stuff about Us in terms of facts before we move into our analysis and our categories. Obviously, as we mentioned, this movie is written and directed by Jordan Peele. This was his second feature film after the worldwide smash that was Get Out in 2017. Us grossed $71 million over its United States opening weekend, which was the highest ever for an original horror film and the second highest opening for an original live-action film after Avatar, which made $77 million in its opening weekend in 2009.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, for an original story, that says a lot.
Yeah.
Avatar and
Avatar
Us.
slaps.
Avatar blows.
I don't like that movie.
You know, they're still making
Why?
2 stupid sequels to
Dances
Avatar.
with Wolves.
Oh, it's so awesome. I love
essentially
Avatar.
Dances. It's not an original movie.
It
It's
looks
Dances
cool.
With Wolves.
It
It's
looks
to
cool.
see.
It's fine.
It's a remake
It's
of Dances
fine.
with Wolves with CGI.
With blue people.
Yeah.
And James
and
Cameron's
no
been
Kevin
working.
Costner, which makes it worse.
James Cameron's been working on 2 sequels to Avatar since that movie came out in 2007, and he's still going to drop 2 sequels over 14 years after the first one came out. I could not care less. Sorry!
Okay.
Anyway, so I mentioned this before, but there are a lot of horror movie references sprinkled throughout this movie. Jordan Peele even gave the cast a list of 11 horror films to watch so that they would have a quote-unquote shared language when filming. Those movies were Jaws, Dead Again, The Shining, The Babadook, It Follows, A Tale of Two Sisters, The Boyds, Funny Games, Andrew, Martyrs, Let the Right One In, and The Sixth Sense.
Huh.
Pretty interesting.
It's an interesting mix of movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like some of the references here are a little bit more obvious. I can see definitely, obviously, there's some Jaws stuff in here. There's some Shining stuff in here. I can see it. Funny Games, I know the premise of it, so I can see that as well.
Have you not seen that movie?
I've never seen Funny Games.
Ooh, that's a brutal movie.
Yeah, I've heard that, so I gotta check that out. Another horror movie reference in Us. So, this movie, several scenes take place on and were filmed on the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, very much like The Lost Boys, which is Joel Schumacher's movie from 1987, starring Kiefer Sutherland, both of the Coreys, Jason Patric, vampire movie. This is even referenced in the Us universe when Adelaide, basically when she's a kid, at the boardwalk before she enters the House of Mirrors. Her mom says to her, direct quote, they're actually shooting a movie over there by the carousel. That's supposed to indicate they're actually filming The Lost Boys on the boardwalk when this movie is taking place.
That's kind of cool.
Pretty cool.
Did you really have to say universe, though?
That's what I pulled it from. I know you hate that. Sorry, I pulled that fact.
Let's make another movie, and then we can make it a universe.
Hey, talk to IMDb.
Fuck
Don't
you,
talk to me,
IMDb.
all right? Yeah. So a lot of horror movie Easter eggs in here, and I'm sure there's actually more that one Chud in the videotape in the opening scene.
What does that stand for again?
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
Underground dwellers.
I think. So obviously we talked a little bit about Lupita Nyong'o in this movie. So to portray her alter ego character, whose name is Red, and her odd voice mannerisms, she worked with an ENT specialist, a vocal therapist, and a dialect coach. This was done largely out of fear of damaging her voice with everything that she was doing for it. So
I can see that.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. It's hard to do. It's very hard to do. She does it very, very well. So she based this voice on a pretty interesting person, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So one of the Kennedys.
That's weird.
I hate the Kennedys. I don't know which one it is.
Robert Kennedy.
I think it's
the one that was assassinated.
No. That's not him. That's. Yeah, so that was pretty odd. So we just lost power directly in the middle of recording. That is
at 4:30 in the afternoon.
The ghost of Robert Kennedy Jr. has come for us.
He didn't appreciate you talking about him like that.
I was actually listening to another podcast that dropped today that was recorded this morning, and they lost power in the middle of it as well. It wasn't a horror podcast. That's just a little weird.
So strange.
So yeah, apparently I hate the Kennedys, but one of the Kennedys, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I think he was a cousin or a nephew of whatever them. I don't know. They're all fucking inbreds anyway. I can't keep track.
Who was the one that got shot?
That was Bobby Kennedy. Yeah.
Bobby is not the same thing.
He was Bobby Kennedy. His name was Robert, but he was more widely known as Bobby Kennedy. So I think he's a nephew, or I don't know. Look up the family tree of the Kennedys.
I don't know. There's too many of them.
Yeah, there's too many. So apparently Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he has a condition known as spasmodic dysphonia that he suffers from. So he actually talks like the Red character does in Us, like in real life.
That's interesting.
That's who she actually based that voice on, which I thought was very random and weird.
Yeah, like how do you even know about that guy?
Yeah. Andrew, you might be able to shed some light on this, but obviously there is a recurring Bible verse that continuously appears in the film. We were talking about this when we were watching the movie, and it's Jeremiah 11:11.
You know, I looked into that when it first came out, and I wanted to look it up, and I think I did, and I can't remember what it was.
I have it here. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them.
I mean, that...
But they didn't actually say that in the movie.
No, but that's what the passage is.
That was one of my nitpicks. Was like that they kept posting about that, but they never actually said like what it was.
Well, most people would just read it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so I know it's implied, but I kind of wish that they like.
Yeah, it's got the homeless guy holding up the sign that has that on it.
Exactly.
And then another weird little coincidence, or not a weird coincidence, but a weird Easter egg that ties that verse in even more. So there's a scene where the father in the movie, who's played by Winston Duke, his name is Gabe. I had to look that up because I always forget names. So Gabe is watching a baseball game on TV. Remember the scene when they first get to the house? So he's watching a baseball game. The game is tied 11-11.
And then there's 11:11 on the clock.
11-11 on the clock at one point. Right. But also in the baseball game, one of the teams that's playing is the Minnesota Twins.
11:11. Also, you make a wish at that time.
Yeah, exactly. Make a wish.
Well, that's what I was anticipating him to say as a kid. Like 11:11, make a wish. Well, are we in like spoiler alert territory yet?
Not.
Right,
yeah. Okay. Sure. Go ahead. Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
I was just gonna say because I feel like
we're 23 minutes in. So
as a normal child, you'd say like 11:11, make a wish. That's what I would assume. But he just goes and like looks and it's like 11:11, and like says to his mom and like looks at her and she doesn't really say anything either. But you have to consider that he's like kind of half of her, and so that's her offspring. So he's kind of.
Is that how that works? Like if you have a child,
that's what I'm thinking.
It's half of you.
Yeah, that was part of my notes was that when I was doing that is that like I feel like their kids Can I talk about this right now?
Yeah, you
You're
are.
already
So
talking
just
about it.
Talk about it.
So I feel like their kids, her kids, since she's from the underground, her kids now, it's the whole system got messed
Since
up.
she's one of the tethered.
She's one of the tethered. Her kids are now connected to her in a different way. They're half tethered, kind of.
Half untethered.
Untethered.
Half untethered as well, yeah.
So it's like one arm tethered, the other.
Yeah.
Right. So that
Yeah, I don't
makes
know- I don't
them
know how that
kinda
works.
think. I feel like there's different pieces that I picked up on when I watched it the second time. That like 11:11 was one of them. That he just looked and was like, "Look, 11:11," and you're waiting for him to be like, "Make a wish" or something stupid, but he doesn't. Because why would he make that connection otherwise?
What's interesting though, when you say that though, is I feel like only one of the kids is.
Maybe it's
Tethered.
just him.
Yeah, because the daughter
Not the
doesn't
daughter?
seem it like because there's that whole scene in the car when they're listening to the song and she's like, "Come on," and she's so offbeat the whole time.
Yeah, she's like,
And
find the beat, and she's so far offbeat, it's
and
ridiculous.
the son is doing the same thing, and he doesn't know any different. He's just going with it.
Yeah.
But the
Maybe.
daughter and the husband, I feel like, give like a look as if like,
What the fuck are you
What the
doing?
hell are you
what,
doing?
what are you snapping?
So
fucking
maybe
deaf.
it is.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, he has the mask too. Like you know that he's a little off.
And he also sits behind her in the car, whereas she sits behind the dad.
Yeah.
Maybe
Very
that
good- very
has
good
a
point.
little something
Good point.
to do
That's a
with
good
it.
point.
I,
That's a good
I,
point.
I love the son in this movie. I think he's great. He's
he's
awesome.
awesome.
He's awesome. So, okay, interesting stuff.
Interesting
stuff. How about a little half-assed analysis here on some of the meetings of this movie?
Yeah.
I got a couple interesting things here to talk about. So, I think it's pretty well stated, and obviously, you know, there's a quote here from Jordan Peele himself. This is a pretty obvious metaphor for class conflict in America.
Yeah.
Right? You know, the ruling class versus the burgeoning underclass, and how one uses and terrorizes the other. Right? So here's the direct quote from Jordan Peele, I should say. One of the central themes in Us is that we can do a good job collectively of ignoring the ramifications of privilege. I think it's the idea that we feel like we deserve what we feel like what we deserve comes, you know, at the expense of someone else's freedom or joy. You know, the biggest disservice we can do as a faction with a collective privilege like the United States is to presume that we deserve it and that it isn't luck that has us born into where we're born. For us to have our privilege, someone suffers. That's where the tethered connection, I think, resonates the most, is that those who suffer and those who prosper are two sides of the same coin. You can never forget that. We need to fight for the less fortunate.
Well, I've always said the same thing, and I know Kat has a disparaging view on homeless people, as does Craig. But you're one break away from being that person on the side of the street. Like, one thing, like, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
We're very close. There's a very
Yeah.
thin line between being homeless and being homed.
Yeah.
Homed?
See, it's easy for people to forget that.
People
Yeah.
forget that
Correct.
all the time. They have no empathy. Or is it apathy?
Empathy.
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 Apathy is a lack of empathy.
Yeah, which is what Kat has.
I'm
towards
gonna not
homeless
contribute
people.
to this. I'm just gonna choose
So
to stay
let's
silent over
cancel
here.
Fair
Kat
enough.
and her hate for homeless
Just-
people. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like you can still hate on homeless people without getting
I'm just
canceled.
not gonna say anything.
That's
Yeah, because
fine.
people do
That's
all the time.
Fine.
And
And
it's-
obviously, we're joking. Kat doesn't
I know.
hate homeless people. All right, so this is also kind of exemplified, I think, the whole class divide thing by the Hands Across America imagery, right? So before I saw this movie, I had heard of it before, but I had no idea what it actually was. So if you were like me and you didn't know, Hands Across America was a public fundraising event in 1986 when between 5 and 6.5 million people held hands for 15 minutes in an attempt to form a continuous chain across the United States. Every person that took place in this demonstration donated $10, and all proceeds were donated to charities that fought homelessness, hunger, and those in poverty. So, I think, you know, combining what Jordan Peele said and also, you know, the Hands Across America imagery, I think that's pretty spot-on analysis. That's kind of what he's trying to say here.
Oh, it was
You guys
clearly
agree?
it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's like, it's obvious.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. That's why I was saying earlier that like there is some sort of underlying tone.
Well, yeah, and that's what makes every good movie a good movie.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
there has to
There's
be
a
some
little
sort
bit
of
more for you to chew on than just the obvious.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can't all be great standalone
Right.
horror movies
Mm-hmm.
like Phantasm, you know? They have
Oh
to
my
have
God.
backstories to them.
Have to bring Phantasm to it every time.
Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, let's talk about the rabbits.
Rabbits?
The rabbits.
The rabbits.
Yes, the
Okay,
rabbits.
so the rabbits. Rabbits are often seen as a symbol of prosperity. Okay? Ironically, rabbits are the main food source for the tethered, who, compared to their above-ground counterparts, have nothing. So it's essentially the poor eating the rich, because they eat the rabbits.
I was trying to figure out what I thought of the rabbits. I didn't pick up on that.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking more along the lines of, like, we breed like rabbits, and essentially everybody, we're all the same. Like, you know how all the rabbits just, like when we're born, we're all the same. And then, you know, depending on where you're born and stuff like that, it changes.
Where how you're raised. Yeah.
It changes.
Well, yeah, because, like, you know, being from Boston, the first question is, what's your name? And then where are you from?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm immediately going to pick up on wherever you're from. And
Yeah, when you
totally
say you're from
where you-
Hyde Park, I'm going to go Hyde
Milton.
Park.
Totally going to judge you on where
Randolph.
you're from.
Cat, right up your alley, but also the presence of the white rabbits, the Hall of Mirrors, and the red jumpsuits worn by the tethered, all references to Alice in Wonderland.
That makes sense. It's so funny that you were talking about the rabbits, because I was like, I didn't really understand at first. Especially in, like, the opening
Well,
parts
now you
when
do.
they're doing that whole chanting thing with the rabbits, and I'm like, I'm really confused
Yeah.
as to, like, why these are
Yeah.
here. But I now that you've
And for a
shed
little
some light on
bit
that.
more Alice in Wonderland stuff, so the Hall of Mirrors that Adelaide goes into, or Red, you know, whichever character it actually is, in the beginning of the movie, that represents going through the looking glass.
Right.
She sees a reflection,
Makes sense.
trades place.
I love Alice
Yep.
in Wonderland.
And the red suits represent the Red Queen, who is the villain of Alice in Wonderland. So lots of, which, and Andrew, you said it, like, there's a lot of stuff to think about and chew on with Jordan Peele's movies, which I appreciate. I like that. I like movies that make you think. Right?
Right.
I agree.
Right.
Cool. And, you know, speaking of thinking, going back to school, might need a new backpack, and a perfect time to remind you that tonight's episode is brought to you again by our new sponsor, who is DB Journey. DB Journey is a Scandinavian brand that makes backpacks and bags to help people on the move stay ready for anything. From the streets to the peaks, DB's gear is travel tested by some of the world's best athletes, adventurers, and creators. Over the past decade, DB Journey has designed and developed, released and refined the best bags in the market. With DB's patented hookup system, you're able to attach smaller products to your backpack, roller, or tote bag. We at America's Hometown Horror are teaming up with DB Journeys to exclusively offer our listeners 10% off your next purchase by going to their website and using the code POD10. That's POD10, or you can just go to the link in our show notes. DB Journey, it's time to move on and time to get going. All right, folks, that means that we are on to our categories. And, of course, as I always say, we are starting off with our cat-egory. The very first one, Catherine, did you find Us to be a scary movie, a scary film?
Absolutely. Excuse me. It's scary to me because it's obviously something that could happen, which is like real life scares, which is right up my alley.
That's Cat 101. Yep.
Of course. The fact that it could happen in some crazy, weird way. I mean, not even necessarily the whole, like, underground people and that whole conspiracy theory kind of thing, but, like, in a sense that, like, someone, you know, can invade your house but not, look like you? That's crazy. That's terrifying.
Your doppelgangers?
Yeah, right? Yeah, so I would say it's absolutely scary, terrifying. And, like, when you call the cops and they're like, it's 15 minutes, like, 15 minutes isn't enough. It's like, they need to be here quicker or something. And it's like, instant, like, fear.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Fair. I would say, I just think it's so odd and strange that it definitely is, like, very creepy. I mean, obviously, once you've seen it, the twists are kind of revealed, so it's not as effective as the first time you see it, but... the second time you see it, it's not as effective as the first time you see it. But I do think there's some creepiness here. There's a lot of creepy imagery. I think the tethered are very creepy with the scissors and the jumpsuits and the
scissors are
the
terrifying.
weird, like, language.
The sound of the scissors, which is a little bit overkill, it's still terrifying.
Yeah. And I think specifically the tethered version of the Sun, who has the burned face and wears that scary white mask, very creepy.
Yes.
Andrew, what about you?
I mean, I don't really think it's scary. It's, like you said, creepy. They do a very good job of building tension throughout the movie.
Yeah.
There's some scary moments, But scary? No, I'm not really worried about the tethered coming up. And
Really? Tethered Andrew? I would be terrified of tethered
that is
Andrew.
terrifying, but there isn't one on this
Wait,
universe.
are you tethered Andrew?
I could be.
Now
I
that
don't
we,
even know.
Now that we kind of think about that,
I've been to a fun house before, but I don't know.
As have I. I don't remember getting snatched by my doppelganger though, so I think I'm an untethered.
That's good.
Very, very good. Yes.
But if you were snatched by your doppelganger, you would be in the lower universe.
That's correct.
So you wouldn't even know.
That's right. I wouldn't
and
know.
you wouldn't want to tell us that you were the one that did the snatching.
Yeah, that's right. Andrew, your favorite scene in Us? Did you have one?
Favorite scene is at the end when it's like that ballet going on between Red and Adelaide, and they have like the and the music is so good in that part, like the rendition of I Got 5 on it, and it's just like that. I love that. Everything about that is just magic.
Well,
It gives me douche chills.
Yeah.
Douche chills.
Or like goosebumps. I like to call them
that.
douche chills.
I think
Douche
that's pretty
chills.
funny. I that was one of my
Great
notes
scene.
was about how they like I kept calling them like alternative, whatever, tethered. The tethered people, how they kind of move around is they're almost dancing in like a weird awkward way, but in the same sense it's like ballet walking where you put like the front of your foot first, like they're kind of like very gently like
That is true.
scooting around.
That is true. It's almost like their movements are choreographed.
Exactly.
Like a dance. Yeah. I can see that.
But Red, Adelaide was a tethered.
Well, they both technically were.
Yeah, they both spent time down
Right.
there. So
They both
maybe they
spent
both
time.
developed that same
Of course. Yeah.
dance motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Kat, what was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene was when Elizabeth Moss's family dies.
Yeah.
That whole thing of like the daughter going in and bashing the heads in of like the girls and like the way Elizabeth Moss dies and then like the tethered Elizabeth Moss is like putting on her lipstick and like looking in the mirror like crazy psycho person. I'm like, that's amazing.
Elizabeth Moss has like a crazy face.
Oh,
She
yeah.
does a great job playing a crazy person. She looks horrifying as the tethered version. of her.
Absolutely.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
That's also a great scene too because of the music again. That
Yeah.
Beach Boys song in that moment
Oh,
is
yeah.
perfect for
That
Right?
and when they try to call the police through Alexa or whatever the thing is, and instead of calling the police, it plays "Fuck the Police."
Yeah.
Which I thought was a cool touch. But I actually had that down as one of my favorite scenes in the movie too.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I agree with everything that you said. It's awesome. And I think every scene that Tim Heidecker's in this movie, just he steals the
which
the
is
show.
funny because it's
Yeah.
like it's Tim Heidecker.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's
all
awesome. Yeah. It's a weird pairing, him and Elizabeth Moss, too, but it works. It works.
Oh, absolutely.
I also thought the first home invasion scene when the tethered show up at the house was very good. Specifically, when my man Gabe is trying to go outside and be tough and scare them away, and he's yelling at them. It's so funny, but it's also very scary. Like you can think about like what you would do in that situation, and he acts pretty much like everybody would act. Try and be as tough as possible and be like, "Yo, fuck this! Like, call the police now. Lock the doors, baseball bats, and fucking let's just hunker down." So
Right.
I thought that was a very good scene. Obviously, you kind
He
of
was
get your
great in that scene.
you get your introduction to the tethered. You get the your first look at the characters, and that's an ultimate like what the fuck is going on here? Like
Yeah.
what is the meaning of this? What's the perfect purpose of this? And then obviously it gets explained to you. But I feel like that first time you're just like, what? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what
He's
is
like,
happening?
I told you to get off my property,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they just go,
And
then
they
they
run.
just scatter, and
Yeah.
you're like, and you see his face like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite quote?
I do.
Okay. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Well, it's not technically the quote, but it's kind of like the moment.
Sure. That's fine. I'll allow it.
Because I don't know it verbatim. So I'll say when the girl's behind the driver's seat, when she's like ready to drive, when they're leaving Elizabeth Moss's house,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "But I killed more people." She's like, "You have handcuffs on, Mom."
Oh
Like-
yeah. She's trying to get them to let her drive.
Yeah,
it's
she's
pretty
like,
funny.
She's like, "Oh no, but I killed like, 7 people or something," and she's like, "I don't care." She's like, "You have handcuffs on." She's like, "I don't care. Get out of here. Go in the
Dude,
back seat." Like,
all the acting in this movie is great. And I feel like it's so easy to remember when kid actors are terrible in movies, but it's also easy to forget when they're really good.
They were
and both the kids are
amazing.
awesome in this.
They're
both
amazing.
great. I actually really like both of them. I like the whole family. They're all great characters.
They
very,
weren't like
very
annoying
well fleshed
Carl
out.
from Walking Dead.
No,
like,
oh God, Carl in The Walking
polar
Dead is
opposite.
the worst.
Yeah.
The worst ever. So my favorite quote is Red's speech when she first comes into the house and explains essentially like her backstory. I'll read through it here quickly. I'm not going to do it in
I was
her
like, you're
voice.
No,
no,
do it.
no,
do
I
it.
can't.
Come on.
I can't do it. I can't
Oh,
do
you
it.
can try. Give it a little try.
Once upon a time. No, I can't.
Oh, you do. You're doing it. Do it.
Once
again.
upon a
Keep going.
time, there was a girl, and the girl had a shadow. The two were connected, tethered together. And the girl ate. Her food was given to her warm and tasty. But when the shadow was hungry, he had to eat rabbit raw and bloody. On Christmas, the girl received wonderful toys. So, if I can only fucking read.
Yeah,
Soft
that's
and
right.
cushy.
Should try it in her voice.
But the shadow's toys were so sharp and cold they sliced through her fingers when she tried to play with them. The girl met a handsome prince and fell in love, but the shadow at that same time had Abraham. It didn't matter if she loved him or not. He was tethered to the girl's prince after all. Then the girl had her first child, a beautiful baby girl. But the shadow, she gave birth to a little monster. Umbre was born laughing. The girl had a second child, a boy this time. They had to cut her open and take him from her belly. The shadow had to do it all herself. She named him Pluto. He was born to love fire.
So you see, the shadow hated the girl so much for so long until one day, the shadow realized she was being tested by God.
See,
That's
You
about
did
as
a
that's
job.
about as good as I can do, and I couldn't
pretty
even
good.
imagine doing it for any longer than
I'm like,
that.
I could
so
try, but
that
I'm not doing it on air.
gives you kind of a, again, kind of like, it goes back to the whole symbolism of like, class divide here, but like, hey, while you were living it up above the surface, I was, eating rabbits and cutting babies out of my womb myself,
belly,
and I
yeah.
had to be with the tethered version of your husband, who I don't even like. So I just thought that was pretty good. Pretty powerful stuff. Andrew, did you have a quote that you that resonated with you?
I mean, there's a lot of good quotes. Probably the one when they're driving and I got fives on, it's playing in the car.
Yep.
And the kid's asking, what's this song about? And the daughter says it's drugs. He
It's
goes,
pretty
it's
good.
not about drugs. It's a dope song. Don't do drugs. Like,
Don't do drugs. Yeah, that's pretty
it's
awesome.
like,
There's so many good quotes in this movie.
Yeah.
So many funny moments.
All right, guys. Tough question here, but who is your favorite and least favorite character? Again, not best or worst. Your favorite character and your least favorite character. Who would like to go first?
I'll go.
that's tough.
Okay, go ahead.
My best favorite character is that the
Your favorite character, not best.
Not best favorite, your favorite.
Just favorite. Best favorite.
My favorite character is definitely the husband.
Mine too.
He's a riot. He's awesome. He really makes the movie.
Yeah.
He's always there for comedic relief and just kind of there to be there for his family. So
Yeah, he's the
then,
man. He's awesome. I love him.
Worst is Elizabeth Moss, but in a good way because she's really good at being awful.
Yeah.
Like she's good at being the annoying housewife who is like bougie and then is also good at being the complete alternative tethered person.
Yeah.
And being completely psychotic at the same time.
She plays a condescending Karen so well in
Yes.
this movie. Like when
Oh.
they're sitting at the beach and her and Adelaide are talking,
Yep.
it's just like, oh, you fucking snob.
She
Like,
was
shut
great
the
in
fuck
both
up.
roles.
Yeah. So I also had Gabe. I love him, the husband. He was a great character, but I'll also throw an honorable mention out there. I loved Josh, who is Tim Heidecker's character, and
Yeah,
he's
he's
just
awesome.
fucking funny as hell. And like I said, it kind of steals every scene that he's in. What were they talking about? What were him and Elizabeth Moss talking about when he's like sitting in his armchair, like drinking whiskey, like hanging out, and she's upstairs and wants him to go check on something. He's like, like can't you do it? Like come on, it's so he's awesome. And I also had Kitty, who is Elizabeth Moss's character. Kitty is her name, which
Kitty.
I mean,
That's
probably
fitting.
because her name's Kitty and she's annoying.
Yeah.
Also, tough to like Adelaide or Red's deadbeat dad, that asshole from the beginning of the movie, who was played by Anthony from Candyman.
Yep.
Yahya Abdul Mateen II.
Yeah.
So good to see him in another movie. Completely forgot he was in this until we
told
watched
you he
it.
looked familiar when
Yeah,
we
he's been in a
watched
bunch
it.
of stuff. But yeah, I mean, he's easily an unlikable character. But again, very good actor. Andrew, favorite and least favorite. Who you got?
This is gonna sound like a broken record, I guess.
Here we go.
Gabe's my favorite character because he's the
Yeah.
comedic relief throughout the movie. He's the one that kind of keeps Adelaide
Grounded?
together, grounded. Like he's always there.
He's the
He
rock
says
of the
wrong
family.
things sometimes, but he does it in a way that's very genuine and meaningful, and he's funny. Like the whole scene when he's gets the boat. and
Oh,
it's like,
yeah, I forgot
about that.
Start. It's so good.
It's so awesome.
You got a boat.
And least favorite is Kitty, just because I hate Elizabeth Moss with a passion. And the fact that they're using her as someone that got a bunch of plastic surgery and is supposed to look good, ugh, gross. There's enough plastic surgery in the world to make her look good.
Oh, stop!
See, I was thinking
I
about
love her.
her and her character in this movie, right? And I think so. I liked her in this. I thought she was great in The Invisible Man, which was an awesome movie.
She's amazing
She's
in
also-
Handmaid's Tale. Amazing.
Never seen Handmaid's Tale, but she's also very good in Mad Men. I think
she's a great actress.
she does a good
actor, whatever
good
the
job.
hell.
She does a great job portraying annoying or unlikable characters.
I just don't like
So she does a good job. That's fine. And
But
and
you're
that's
s-
probably
you're
why.
supposed to
Yeah.
not
And that's
like her.
probably
And
why.
that's why she's so great, because you're
Yeah.
supposed to hate her.
She's probably a very
Yeah.
nice person.
I'm sure she is. I think she's a Scientologist.
That makes a ton of sense,
Yeah.
actually, because she has that crazy look in her
That
eyes.
Tom
I think
Cruise
I think
crazy.
she was not even like Hollywood conversion. I think she was raised a Scientologist.
That's even
Yeah.
worse.
Wikipedia that. Look it up. I might be wrong. But
I don't
think,
wanna
I think
know.
I'm right. I had nothing here, but did anybody have an issue with anybody in the cast?
No.
No, neither did I. Let's move on. Nitpicks? Anyone?
The only nitpick I had was, I mentioned before, was the Bible verse that wasn't really explained in the movie. That
Yeah.
I know you're supposed to suggest it to look it up, but I
Right.
mean, I kind of wish that they kind of dove into that just because they mentioned it in the movie.
Hmm.
So I feel like they should have explained something.
Okay.
But that's my only nitpick.
Okay. I would say it maybe felt a little long. Been almost 2 hours.
I
Maybe.
felt like when we watched it, it went by so fast.
I thought it was.
I
thought it was
I
fine.
horror movie. I don't think you should. I mean, it's
Hour and a half
just
is
under 2
perfect
hours,
for a horror movie.
so it's not super long. It's not long like It or It Chapter 2, like that type of thing, which is kind of a more of an epic, sweeping story.
Right.
This is a little bit more. Actually, it's pretty big scale, but a little bit more self-contained. I just thought it was a little bit long. But again, they do a good job establishing characters, establishing the past, establishing who everybody is. So I think it's again a tiny nitpick. I think this is again 2 thumbs way up.
Way up.
Yeah. So picking nits. That's what we're doing here. Picking nits. Anyone want to talk about their best
Oh,
death
I had a slight nitpick.
or their favorite
What's
kill?
your
Or go
slight
ahead. What's your
nitpick?
slight nitpick?
So I don't even know if it's relevant, but I just got to figure out how I want to form this sentence.
Okay.
boy.
You want to pass? And
No.
then
I know what I want to
field
say.
and-
Basically,
okay.
I'm just so Adelaide is essentially from the underground. She's one of the tethered.
She is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So when they're going through all her memories, why is she remembering them as if she was not taken but took? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Little
yeah.
bit of a plot
Wait.
hole. Like she's remembering stuff as if she was the one that was
doing the taking.
doing the taking.
Well-
when in reality she was.
The one being taken.
I think.
No, she was the one.
Was the one.
She was the one remembering as if. So, you know what I
So,
mean? Like
wait.
she's
Yeah,
remembering it as if she.
I know what you
yeah.
mean.
So
I know what you mean.
I
Yeah,
can
it's
feel
hard to
this
put into
question.
words.
Ready? The nitpick for that. So this is my spin on this.
Okay.
The tethered watch everyone from underground. You watch your other half grow up while you grow up in the same sense. The other half don't see the ones underground. They're kind of hidden. So they can compare their life to another life. And that's how she builds her story, because she was taken at such a young age. The only reason why Adelaide knows how to get through the tunnels is because she grew up there. So she knows where the tunnels are and everything. So when she's walking down, she knows where she's going. But the tethered, who is the original Adelaide, grew up at such a young age and then became tethered her the rest of her entire life is pretty much like, this is what you've taken from me, and I watched every single minute of it.
Okay. Sure.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, she's telling her that you didn't see, you knew that there was something going on down in the underground the entire time, and I just watched you live your life.
Yeah. You stole my life.
You stole my life from me. This is what I went through, and this is what you went through. How bad do you feel for me?
Right.
Kind of.
Type of thing.
I'm going to kill you for doing that
Sure.
to me. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, that's how I took it.
I understand it, but like, how does that tie into what Andrew was saying about why the? I don't know. Whatever. I'm confused now. I feel like my head is swimming. I'm like my head is spinning. Excuse me.
Is that not how that was supposed to go?
No. Like I get what you're saying. That's You're right in that sense. Like that is the message that she's trying to convey. Like but like he was asking, how come? At the end, when it's revealed, like what actually happened, like it's flip flopped. You know what I'm saying?
It's not flip flopped.
Okay.
They reveal at the end what happened. You don't really know what happened until the very end.
Okay.
Because the entire time they're saying, like, right after she got flip flopped to begin with, we'll call it flip flopped. They go to therapy and they don't know that it's another person.
Sure. Okay. That's all well and good. That's fine. I get it.
Am I off the rails here?
No, I understand what you're saying, but I like. Let's just move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore because
All right.
I think we've talked about it a lot. I understand what you're saying. All right, who had a best death or favorite kill that wants to talk about it? Go ahead.
My best death was the little boy Pluto, the tethered of the other little boy who I forget his name. I don't know
one.
why I remember his name Pluto, but maybe because it's goofy Disney. But anyways, when he like just walks backwards into the fire, and it's like kind of a scary scene.
Yeah, very striking death.
Yeah.
And in broad daylight as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Walking backwards into fire.
Yeah, I think that was, and she's just like meanwhile watching it happen with like her son and tethered son like just like against each other. It was kind of a really dark scene.
Notable. Yeah, definitely one of the cooler ones, I thought. Andrew?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There wasn't really that many deaths, like outside of the
neighbors.
the neighbors, Tim
Yeah.
Heidecker.
The daughter too. She died in the tree. Remember?
The tethered daughter.
The tethered daughter.
Oh yeah, I'm talking
That was a
like
good one.
Real people. That one's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that none of them really stood out to me though. To be honest, like I don't because usually it's a memorable moment, and I can't even think of one that like really stood out to me as an awesome death. Oh, actually, when they're on the boat, and he starts up the engine, finally when they're coming for him,
Yep.
doesn't he grind up like Gabe's?
Oh, yeah, that's
Kind
right.
of,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Doesn't he still like emerge from the water at one point? And you're like, how did he survive?
Yeah, he
that?
does. Yeah.
That might
Yeah,
be a
so I don't know
nitpick.
then.
How did he
Because
survive
because
that?
movie.
I
That's
know.
Because
why.
hashtag
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, I'll say that the murder scene at Moss and Heidecker's house is probably the best.
That was
best
the
kills
most
for me.
bloody
Yeah,
death
it was
yeah.
awesome. It was
Yeah.
good. Very good. Very good. So, with that being said, I would ask you guys: do you think Us would make a good haunted attraction? But hold on there.
They already did that.
They've already done it. The answer is yes.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. So back in 2019, the same year that the movie came out, there was an Us haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights on both coasts. So in Hollywood and in Orlando. It was featured alongside other movies and TV shows like Stranger Things, Ghostbusters, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and House of a Thousand Corpses from Rob Zombie. And I did a little bit of research on that. You can actually see walkthrough videos on YouTube, and there's photos of it online. But the entrance to the house, the facade, if you will, was the mirror maze from the movie. So you're starting off walking into the house, walking into the mirror maze.
Oh, I mean, that's
Pretty-
obviously how you would
Pretty
start
cool.
it.
So yeah, I would say this definitely has some cool set pieces, cool characters, makes for a pretty good haunted house, and they did it. So yeah,
Yeah, so it would make a great haunted attraction.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, I would
yes.
go to that 100%.
absolutely. All right, cool. And now for the second to last question, I guess, and I'm honestly not sure how I feel about an answer to this. Do you guys think that there should be, or we will ever see a sequel to Us?
It depends on what they do and how they do it. Like, do you do a sequel
To the same storyline?
to
like
the same story, but
yeah.
from the viewpoint of the tethered, or is that too fucking bizarre?
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, maybe,
that would
but
be like
how
a very like it
would
just seemed to be a
you
bunch of
do
zombies
it?
just walking around,
Yeah.
walking.
Would it be like there's another underground tunnel in like Washington, and you have a different location?
Yeah,
but
so
you have the
you
same
could-
story. But I mean,
So-
then it's so
I
repetitive.
feel like this is a perfect one-off.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I agree.
I
Yeah.
personally don't need one. And I mean, I would probably watch one, but it obviously wouldn't be as good. But I think, obviously the last scene of the movie, you're meant to think that, like, the Tethered are taking over the country, essentially, like, rising up and taking back the country. So, I mean, you could show the Tethered attacking people in other parts of the country or something like that, but then I feel it could just be the same story told through a different
Yeah, what
lens.
is this, 28 weeks later instead of
Yeah.
28 days
Or
later?
like what they do with the Purge movies. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
people
t-
killing people in masks,
And
but
I
let's
don't-
do it
I
in
never
Texas
wanna
this
see
time.
that.
Let's
If
do
you're
it in
gonna-
New York City.
If you're going to do a follow-up,
Let's do rich people doing it.
make,
like,
it,
you know.
make it different.
Yeah.
Don't just be like, oh, this is what happens when
Yeah.
they take over and just a bunch of people getting killed by scissors. I don't
Yeah.
fucking care.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think... I think there's something to be said for kind of leaving things, as you said, as a one-off, and I think this is
Yeah.
the perfect movie that does not need a sequel.
Yeah, it does not need
I don't
one.
think Jordan Peele has ever talked about making a sequel,
I'd rather see him put his time towards making another original horror movie.
which
Yeah,
he is
agreed.
doing next, and that movie's called Nope.
Nope.
It's the word Nope.
Oh, right. I remember that. Actually.
And he has talked about, he has, I guess, potential ideas for a sequel to Get Out.
Interesting.
There's
a movie I've only watched once and I should watch it again.
Wow, I've seen that a couple times.
I feel like that I could see a sequel to.
Yeah, I feel like that's easier to make a sequel to than Us.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I don't think it would have the same impact with the twist as, the first movie. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Jordan Peele would cook up there. So, I don't know. Never say never.
I mean, I would like to see Jordan Peele make a movie about killer tortoises.
oh,
that would be
hashtag
pretty awesome.
Tortuga Takeover?
Wait,
Yeah,
we
Tortuga.
shouldn't share too much about that.
No,
because
we
it's
won't.
gonna
It's a
be
gold,
It's a
baby.
project.
That's gold.
It's a project in development, shall we say.
Yes.
Tortoise Takeover. Tortoise Takeover. All right, guys. Final thoughts on Us before we put a bow on this son of a bitch.
I really liked watching it a second time because I'd only watched it that one time that we were in the movie theater, and watching it a second time, knowing the twist ending, was such a different experience, and I really appreciated like seeing it again and now talking about it after watching it twice. Like it was a much different
Yeah.
viewing the second time than the first time,
Yeah.
and I love it. I'd watch it again too. I mean, it's totally. I could see myself Andrew 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times.
Great movie. Type of thing. If it's on somewhere, if it ever hits
Oh,
like
yeah.
streaming services, I'd throw it on.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
I would watch
Great
this movie
movie.
as many times as possible.
Just for the scissor effects.
I know, right?
yeah.
It's funny. It's a good
Music.
horror movie.
Great
Cool
music.
premise. Awesome soundtrack. Lots of like I said, lots of nods to classic horror movies if you're a fan of that sort of thing. So this is something for everybody. I
To
think.
me, like,
It's pretty
good
gory.
horror movie is the vibes it gives off, and when this movie gives off vibes that make it gives off like some sort of endorphin in my head. It's like when I
Right.
watch Seinfeld 57 times in a row. There's something about it that I just really enjoy it. So regardless of how many times I've seen it, it puts me in a happy place.
Right.
Which is weird because it's a fucking weird movie. Why does this put me in a happy place? But it puts me in a happy place.
Well, hey,
That's like we
the
could
heart
throw it
wants
on-
what the heart wants, Andrew.
I also, final note, another weird movie that I really have watched many times for no reason is this movie called Spotlight. It's about the.
You've talked about this.
Oh.
I have talked about this, but it makes me think. There's a line in that movie. I can't remember it exactly, but it's when the Armenian lawyer is talking to one of the reporters, and he goes, "Sometimes it takes an outsider to change things," and that's essentially what Adelaide did, or Red.
Mm-hmm.
They would have just been wandering around for forever, but she got snatched, and she said, "Well, fuck this,
Yeah.
rise up," and then they
Right.
Yeah.
rose up. So without her, so maybe
Yeah.
she's the MVP.
We're not doing MVPs.
We don't have MVPs anymore, Andrew. Get
Remember
your
that?
category straight,
maybe
son.
she's just MVP. We don't have to do MVPs. I'm just saying.
You were about to say something a second ago when Andrew was continuing that thought. What were you
Oh,
saying?
I was gonna say that like I feel like this is the type of movie that we could throw on like if we were playing shuffleboard down here and like just wanted something on in the background.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That would be something that we could just like have on to kind of hang out to, and like it's a good soundtrack. It's got some weird scenes. You kind of laugh at it.
Yeah.
It's like kind of got
Yeah.
all the good elements to
Yeah.
just
It's like
throw
Rocket
on in the
Man.
background.
Throw that on in the background, jam
Rocket
out.
Man.
I like Twister. Twister's
Twister?
Yeah,
my
Rocketman's a good
throw
one.
on in the background.
Yeah. I feel like that's definitely a movie.
Jurassic
it's tough to turn
Park.
off. Jurassic
Yeah.
Park. I'm a big
Jurassic
fan
Park, I
of
can
the,
watch a billion times.
The
Yeah.
I have.
Brendan Fraser mummy movie from 1999. Oh my god, the movie rocks
it's all right.
so hard. But yeah, I mean, hey, Us is a great movie. Go check it out if you haven't yet. And if you haven't, you're listening to us spoil the shit out of it. Like, what the hell are you doing? Go watch this movie. But chances are, if you're listening, you've probably seen it. And you've probably listened to other episodes of ours before. But if you haven't, if this happens to be the first time you're checking us out, here's where you can find us on the interwebs. You can just go to ahhpod.com. That's AHHPOD.com. That's our website, which we're very proud of. You can also go onto YouTube and Facebook and just search for America's Hometown Horror, and we will pop up. Subscribe to us, like us. We would really appreciate that. And you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter is at Hometown Horror, and Instagram is at Hometown Horror Pod. And if you feel the need, you can also shoot us a line, drop us a line, shoot us an email at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. And you can also listen to our show, whatever platform you're listening to us on right now. That's a good one. But we also are on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, and pretty much everywhere else. So go ahead, subscribe to us, leave a review. That helps us out. Oh, and also, to the person who recently gave us a 1-star review on Apple Podcasts without leaving any comments, you fucking coward.
Show yourself.
Eat shit. Fuck you.
Please email us. You're probably
Yeah,
not
how
listening
about-
because
yeah.
you hate us so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you are and you're just
Yeah.
a troll.
Yeah, maybe. Probably just a troll. But hey,
See
at least if
me
you're gonna
trolling.
if you're gonna leave us a 1-star review,
us
at
a
least have the
reason.
courage to say what we could improve on. You dink. All right, folks. Well, my name is Mike. Thanks for tuning in to
And
another
Grant.
episode of America's Hometown Horror.
It's
Again,
probably Cat.
probably was Kat. I've been joined by Kat and Andrew, my two esteemed co-hosts. Guys, say goodbye to your listeners.
I may have left the 1-star. No, I'm just kidding.
Good
I
evening.
didn't. I promise. I swear. I
Okay,
swear.
fair enough.
See you on the other side,
Yeah.
mofos.
Bye.
Adios.
Later. Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and just wanted to say thank you again for listening to another episode of our show, because of course, we would be nothing without you listeners. If you are interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I would highly recommend you check out some shows by our cohorts on the Inebriart Podcast Network. That's right, the Inebriart Podcast Network, folks. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find the Inebriart Podcast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, Retro Redoctopus, and Old Colony Cast. Head on over and give them a listen.